So welcome everyone again. Hare Krishna. Let's offer some prayers to Srila Prabhupada before we begin. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vashtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaura Vahani Pachaline Nivasisha Sunyavhadi Pashtachadi Shatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so let me share that book. Let's share the Brhad Bhagavatamrta with you. Hare Krishna. 1, 2, 3. Ding. There it is. Hare Krishna. All right. So we are continuing a lengthy commentary by Sanatana Goswami, glorifying the association of devotees, or glorifying the effect of the association of devotees. And it's a wonderful commentary. And we've been reading it so far for about 3 hours. Right? So I think we'll be finishing this text 14 today and continuing. Okay. So this is where we left off last week. You see the highlighted yellow, that what's in yellow? That's where we can begin from today. So if there's any readers out there, you are
I can read.
empowered to read. Yes, go ahead. Hare Krishna.
I'll start at the yellow bit.
At the yellow bit.
Okay, thanks. Impersonalists conceive of the Supreme Self as formless, as a void. To reciprocate with them in kind, the Supreme Lord presents himself to suit their taste, as the personified Vedas describe in their prayers. Vyata iva padasya tavasunya tulam dadata. Just as the ethereal sky has no connection with the perceptible qualities, so also you resemble a void. Bhagavatam 10:87-29. The impersonal conception of the Supreme is deficient, however, because it ignores the essence of self-realization, pure devotion for the Supreme Lord's lotus feet. Thus, only the faithful Vaishnavas are true saints, sat, and everyone else is asat. Following the example of such saints, one who desires to succeed should take shelter of the son of Vasudeva and worship him. Persons who spurn the protection of this personality of Godhead are not Vaishnavas. Without shelter, they are in effect spiritual orphans. But the Vaishnavas, under the Lord's protection, free from fear, free to use all the activities of their senses in the Lord's service, easily gain liberation from the bondage of material existence. And beyond that, at every moment, they enjoy an abundance of fresher and fresher ecstasy that those who are merely liberated can never know. Impersonalist sannyasis can obtain deliverance from the vast ocean of samsara only after long, severe endeavor. But the Supreme Lord's devotees can cross that ocean happily, effortlessly, as the presiding demigods of the causal elements prayed to Lord Vishnu at the beginning of creation. O Lord, your lotus feet are like an umbrella for the surrendered souls, protecting them from all the miseries of material existence. All the sages under that shelter easily throw off all material miseries. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto your lotus feet. John 3:5-39. Devotees who take full shelter of the Lord Vishnu's lotus feet are much more elevated than ordinary sages or sannyasis. Such devotees abandon reliance on anything else and depend solely on the Lord. In contrast, impersonalist sannyasis, by leaving their families and changing their dress, only seem to renounce materialism. In reality, however, when they subscribe to the Advaita idea of pure consciousness, they imagine themselves to be the Supreme Lord, Narayana. Such a state of mind forces them to presume that everything they see or hear about, other than themselves, is an illusory product of their own Maya. These adherents of the Advaita Vedanta philosophy call themselves yatis or sannyasis, but they must be distinguished from the Vaishnavas, whom the Bhagavatam designates as real saints.
Can you just pause 1 minute, Mother Lubanga? I just want to scan forward a bit and see how long we have to go for this. Oh, okay, 1 page, so no problem. You can read through to the end.
Yeah, okay. In fact, the Advaitavadi yatis are not free from the reactions of their past and present sins, nor are their hearts cleansed of the taste for sense gratification. Though ignorant of the truth, they consider themselves learned, and their personal character is just like that of the demoniac enemies of Vishnu and his devotees. As the demigods prayed to Krishna while he was in the womb, O lotus-eyed Lord, although non-devotees who accept severe austerities and penances to achieve the highest position may think themselves liberated, their intelligence is impure. They fall down from their position of imagined superiority because they have no regard for your lotus feet. Bhagavatam 10:2-32. The personified Vedas similarly prayed. Members of the renounced order who fail to uproot the last traces of material desire in their hearts remain impure, and thus you do not allow them to understand you. Although you are present within their hearts, for them you are like a jewel worn around the neck of a man who has totally forgotten that the jewel is there. O Lord, those who practice yoga only for sense gratification must suffer punishment both in this life and in the next from death, who will not release them, and from you, whose kingdom they cannot reach. According to the Yoga Vishishta Ramayana, when an ignorant, half-conscious person declares everything is Brahman, the result is that he becomes entangled in a network of most hellish existence. The Brahma Vaivarta Purana also states, a person absorbed in enjoyment of sense objects who says, I am Brahman, will burn in hell for 10 billion days of Brahma. And in another Purana we read, if a person absorbed in the pleasures of material life says, I am Brahman, he has fallen both from Vedic duties and from transcendental engagements. He should be rejected like an outcast. Before meeting Sarupa, the Brahmana from Mathura was ignorant of the glories of the Supreme Lord's devotional service. But by the company of Sarupa, his saintly spiritual master, he at once became as successful as those who realized their spiritual identities after long disciplined efforts. Such is the power of association with pure Vaishnavas. Earlier in this book, all kinds of spiritual practices were explained, but the special glory of Vaishnava association was not. Vaishnava association is the most sublime secret. It is the very best means of spiritual attainment, and it is, in fact, an essential aspect of the ultimate goal.
Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. All right. So, any immediate comments or questions here?
This may sound like a stupid question.
I'm sure it's not.
I never understand liberation. Like, what if someone is liberated? Can they still be? I mean, do they operate in this earthly plane? Like, just if they're liberated and they're not a Vaishnava, is
Okay.
it? Can you be liberated and not be a Vaishnava?
Yeah. Well, it's yeah. It's not a stupid question. It's a very interesting question. It's a very good question, actually, because it's mentioned in this verse from the perspective of a Vaishnava and what's considered to be one's original constitutional position in relationship to exchanges of love with Krishna, as Sanat Goswami is making out in what is explaining what we have just read. All other so-called forms of liberation are actually, you see this verse here,
Yeah.
where ye ne here they may vimukta maninas. See this vimukta? So vimukta means liberation and maninas. So they've convinced themselves through intense philosophical analyzation, if they're really strict in their practice, and speculation, that they are liberated. That's why they are just liberated within the mind. They may think, it says, see, vimukta maninas. They may think themselves liberated, but but they, because their intelligence is impure, they will eventually fall from that position. So that's one thing. Another aspect might be also that someone might be a Gani and strictly following a really strict regime of sadhana, and they may have realization that they are not the bodies, and they may have some type of realization of Brahman, and that ultimately material life is fruitless and pointless because there is only existence of the spiritual. So they may be then dedicate themselves to a life of meditation on impersonal Brahman. Yeah. So from looking down, from a say from a kami looking at such persons, they may seem to be liberated souls. They may be aloof from society. They may be living in Himalaya, yeah, and doing different austerities. But as Sanatana Goswami goes to know, he goes to quite some degree, but actually, such persons are not liberated. Yeah. And it's just like here, it describes, let's just look at a few of these verses again. Um, let's just take it over here. When an ignorant, half conscious person declares everything is Brahman, so this is what we was explaining, the result that he becomes entangled in the network of most hellish existence. And even more, this verse here, a person absorbed in enjoyment of sense objects who says, I am Brahman, will burn in hell for 10 billion days of Brahma. Okay, so they may profess, they may vimukta maninas, may imagine themselves to be in a liberated state. And there's examples given of Gyanis who have reached quite a high level of practice of mystic meditation, but have fallen down from that position. One of those is Subari Muni. We know that story, isn't it? He was under the water meditating, and he saw, of course, he afterwards, he won't tell the whole story. But yeah, then he saw two fish copulating, and that reminded him that brought up dormant lusty desires within his heart. So how liberated was he? How liberated was he actually? Yeah, he was not actually liberated. Yeah. Here, let's read this. If a person absorbed in the pleasures of material life says, I am Brahman, he has fallen both from Vedic duties and from transcendental engagements. He should be rejected like an outcast. So far from being liberated, Sanatana Goswami is giving some verses here which describes, no, that they're an outcast. So this is the enthusiasm of a Vaishnava. Yeah. So I don't know if did that answer the question?
Yeah, yes, it did, because liberation is a bit of a gray area for me. I'm like, I don't understand how someone can be liberated from the modes of material nature and not be connected to Krishna. Because where are you? You're in a kind
Yeah,
of no man's land.
yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, you explained. Yeah, you are in a no man's land. Yeah. And that's why one cannot stay there. At some point, one will fall down again to karma. Just like it's not unknown. A lot of, not a lot, but many politicians, some politicians India, they come from doing meditation in the Himalayas, so-called, and then they come and take up charitable works, not politicians, but some, but then they may come from their platform of liberation and meditation after 5, 10 years, 15 years, and they come to the world of karma. Although they're accumulating karma where they are, but they come to the material sphere, so-called, and they engage in activities. So was that Chandravali? Was you going to say?
Yeah, I was asking, do they go to like Brahmajyoti or heavenly planets? Because they're not that kind of advanced. They still have desires, but dormant desires, like Sobari Muni,
Yeah. Depends which type of Gani it is.
Yes.
Yeah. Most Ganis, the heavenly planets is all part of the illusion of the material world. So for them, they don't, they just want to merge or lose their sense of identity. They want to delete their very existence. They want to delete their soul because any identification is a false one, is an upadi. So upadi means a designation, like I am English, or male, female. So any designation they see isn't, or any upadi as an illusion, whether it's in the heavenly planets or wherever it is. So for them, there is no, they want to lose sense of that self. So that's one type of Gani. So someone who's another type of Gani, maybe, well, not a Gani as such, but they're just very pious and they engage in very pious activities to gain credits for going to the heavenly planets. So yeah, Brahmavadis generally, that's why it said, this verse said, it's a hellish, it's actually what it say here. It's the most hellish existence. Can you imagine if you, I mean, for example, you could try, rather than wait till you get so-called liberated into Brahman, you could practice sadhana here, now for it. You can never see anyone, never speak to anyone, never, try and cancel out completely any emotions that you have, and that's what painfully some of them do. Now they go to the Himalayas and, for example, they will submerge themselves. I saw a picture of one yogi in the Himalayas who was buried up to his neck in snow. He was sitting there, you know. See, the idea that's a sadhana because the body will experience for instance, the body will experience the extremity of cold, and as they and that for and as they experience that, they will analyze and detach themselves from that, saying this is illusion. What am I experiencing is illusion. It's just a duality. And then you might have seen pictures where they surround themselves with different fires. Sometimes the pictures of Kumbh Mela, and there's a camp of yogis, and one of them sitting in the midday sun with different cow dung fires around him, and sometimes even a platform on his head with a fire burning on his head. So what they try and gain is just mental. That's why I say intense mental, where they're feeling really, you can imagine how hot it is, but then they analyze, then they're within their mind, no. What's it? Yeah, it is not that. It is not that. I am not that. I am not that. I am not that. And they get really intense about it. So it's all kind of vimukta in us. It's all kind of in the mind. So it's hellish. That they actually live a hellish existence. That's why even Rupa Goswami mentions in or the commentaries, yeah, it's mentioned in the Nectar of Devotion. That's why someone who's been too much into this type of gyan, this type of sadhana, it can be detrimental to bhakti. very detrimental, because bhakti is all about emotions. And they've been trying their goddamn hardest to negate any emotion. But bhakti is about devotion, and devotion is an emotion. Devotion is an emotion. So someone, if they've gone too far down that path, it may be very difficult for them to come back again.
Mm.
You know, for
It's all
instance,
about controlling senses, like you feeling cold. No, I'm not feeling cold, and they work with that. No, I'm
yeah,
not.
but I mean, like, we kind of do that a little bit, you're not the body Prabhu, like this. But they actually dedicate the whole existence to try and deny to try and deny every feeling and thought as to be an illusion and an upadhi, which is stopping them from realizing that they are one and there's oneness. And they give the example, just like when you break the pot, the outside becomes the same as the inside. That's there. But there's
Yeah,
different varieties of Ghanis, etc. They come in different shapes and forms and sizes.
yeah. See, we see the cold as Krishna,
That's it.
and
Yeah.
they just are perceiving through their material senses. It seems like this is cold, so I will reject it.
That's it. They try and reject it, but we don't. We see everything. Yes. Vasoham apsukuntaya papashmishashashuyaha panavasavavedi shu shapti ki purushana shu. Krishna's the taste of water. Krishna's the light in the moon. Krishna's the light in the sun. He's the ability of man. So that's exactly it. Devotees see everything as being a manifestation of Krishna's energy, and that reminds them of Krishna. So they're very different, so that's why it's a very different path. You can see how different these paths are,
Yes,
and
because you can.
how Sanatana Goswami he's speaking is very strongly, but he's making a good point. Yes, go on.
Yeah, I was thinking, so we extract Krishna from all these things, like connected to Krishna.
Yeah.
We're connected to themselves in a way.
Yeah, well, they don't, as I think it said, they just imagine. It's just within their mind. They just
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah.
They get intense, tense, Gani, meditate, read, Shankaracharya's commentary on Vedanta Sutra. Read, imagine you're not this, imagine it, and they attain some state, some state of otherworldliness. So from someone who's innocent may look up to them as being very, very advanced.
Mm.
But actually, I mentioned someone may be, someone coming to the temple and they may have two children and they're busy doing part-time job, etc. And they're trying to come to the temple as much as they can and they chant Hare Krishna. They are more advanced than
Mm.
these tapasvis sitting in the Himalayas for like 50, 60 years or Vedically thousands of years, you know? Yeah.
Hello.
Hare Krishna. Gaura.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Welcome. Hare Krishna.
Tulsi, that's Tulsi. Hare Krishna, Tulsi.
Hare Krishna Tulsi. All right. Anything else on this? We're all convinced we're not going to take to the path of Jnana Yoga?
No, liberation bit. There was more about liberation, like,
Yeah, liberation. Yeah.
not
What
too
do you mean?
much.
Expand a
Well,
bit?
no, I was thinking more about how those who think they're liberated.
Yeah, vimukta maninas.
Yeah.
Yeah, vimukta maninas described here. Yeah, yeni ravindaksha vimukta man. So Ravi, it's a nice verse. This Ravindaksha means lotus-eyed Lord. Yeah, Ravindaksha. Avishuddha Buddhaya means their intelligence is impure. There. So Buddhaya means intelligence. Avishuddhi. So Suddhi means pure. Suddha. So Avishuddhi means impure. Yeah. So yeah, Ariyo Kristrena Param Padam Padam. They have no attachment to your lotus feet. Param Padam, the Lord's lotus feet. So they fall down. Yeah. All right.
Because obviously we are supposed to have desires, but we have to change those, not material desires, spiritual desires.
Yeah, that's it.
Desires don't go.
Yeah, we spiritualize the process of desire. Yeah,
Yeah.
we spiritualize it. Like for instance, instead of desiring a house on the hill overlooking, I can say, overlooking the river, we desire to go to Deri's retreat, or we desire to chant 24 rounds or 32 rounds on Nikadashi. So we're developing spiritual desires, or we desire to make a garland for Krishna. We desire to make cauliflower and pea samosas for Krishna. So we change it from desiring things for ourselves to desiring things for Krishna or his devotees. Yeah. So yeah, we cannot be. That's what I mentioned. Imagine trying to negate any thoughts and feelings and desires. You know, it's all. Sometimes I've met some. It's not very often, but I would meet on book distribution sometimes. Some persons who read or following this type of path to some small degree, and they're very, very intensely I can explain it, very intensely psychic, psychology, very intense psychology, because they're all just in their mind trying to imagine that they're liberated and trying to imagine that it's all one, that there is no distinction, when everything in life has qualities and there is differences everywhere. Anyway, we get the idea, yeah. All right, so unless there's any other comments or questions, we can go on to text 15 and pick up the storyline. Any readers?
I can read.
Yeah.
Where are we?
The Brahman was submerged. Text 15.
15, yeah. Text 15. The Brahman was submerged, just like Sarupa, in an ocean of taste of pure exalted love, and his whole body, just like Sarupa's, was filled with many symptoms of that love. He cried out to Krishna, the foremost of youths, "Oh Krishna, Krishna, please show yourself." Text 16. He placed a braid of grass between his teeth, bowed down, and with his plaintive cries asked for Sarupa, and of all moving and non-moving living beings, "Where is Krishna? Have you seen him here?" Commentary. The Brahmana's voice expressed fear and sorrow. Text 17. Loudly chanting the all-attractive names of Krishna, the Brahmana clutched Sarupa's feet. The Brahmana saw that Sarup, his guru, was drowning in an ocean of love and had lost control of himself by witnessing the love in him. And so the Brahmana wept. Commentary. Sri Sarup was already constantly submerged in an ocean of Krishna prema, but seeing his disciple transformed, plunged him into even deeper ecstasy. Now both Guru and the disciple were utterly immersed in happiness.
So quite an emotional scene.
Yeah.
The disciples in great ecstasy, and now seeing his is it the guru. So who is the guru here? That's so seeing Guru was already seeing his disciple transformed. It doubled his ecstasy. So they're both immersed in happiness, which is again that discussion we just had of no feelings. And no, so yeah. Here, unimaginable emotions and feelings and sentiments, but all pure. Yeah, all pure.
So Sarupa is the disciple, and is Gopkumar the guru here?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
They're
I
telling, yeah,
think I think that's correct.
yeah.
I'll read up afterwards, but I think that's it. Yeah. Hopefully it'll be confirmed as we read on.
Okay,
Yeah.
text 18. A moment later, compelled by a great upsurge of love, the Mathura Brahman got up and began to wander in the forest. There he fainted and fell into a thorny grove of Carrera trees. Text 19. Dear mother, all of a sudden, from a distance came rich and sweet sounds of flutes and horns, mixed with the mooing of cows and the sound of vinas made from gourds and whistles made from leaves.
Okay, I think you can guess who's coming.
Krishna is coming
Yeah.
with his coward boys.
You can hear first, so he's hearing first.
I
Yeah.
am seeing, the toll house, I mean, from that moon tower and the dust flowing,
Yeah. That's
That's
when they're waiting for Krishna to return,
done. Yeah.
they go up to the moon tower, and the first thing they see is the dust raised by the cows. Then yeah.
Text 20. Awakened by the persistent sound, Sarup and the Brahmana ran in its direction. Then they saw Gopaladeva, his body beautifully dark and circled by a brilliant effulgence. Text 21. The Lord, unlimited in pastime, was coming nearby to to water his animals and play with his friends in Yamuna, daughter of the sun. As he approached, he danced with gait worthy of honor from the playful walk of the king of elephants. Commentary. There is no limit to Krishna's enjoyment. As both guru and disciple looked on, Krishna approached the Yamuna with more than one purpose in mind. He wanted to let his cows and other animals drink from the Yamuna. He wanted to play with the cowherd boys in the water, and he also wanted to meet the gopis who would later take him across the river in a boat. Krishna and his friends, while coming near, were throwing balls and imitating the forest creatures and playing in various other ways. Text 22. His chief ornament was his own unique use. He was an ocean filled with wonderful waves of beauty, ever adorned with newer and newer charms. He redoubled the joy of everyone's mind and eyes. Text 23. All auspicious signs marked his beautiful body. Garlands of nipper flowers adorned his ears, and a peacock feather his hair. A string of pearls decorated his conch-like neck, and his yellow silken garments, upper and lower, shone brilliantly. Comment. As described in such texts as the Samudrika, these are the bodily signs of a Mahapurusha, or great person. A great person is marked in 32 ways. 5 parts of his body are tender, 5 long, 7 red, 6 high, 3 short, 3 broad, and 3 deep. The 5 tender parts of a Pura's body are the skin, teeth, and finger joints, the hair on the head, and the hair on his body. The 5 long parts are the nose, chin, eyes, arms, and knees. The 7 red parts are the nails, the palate, the upper and lower lips, the edges of the eyes, and the surface of the feet and hands. The 6 high parts are the nose, mouth, nails, chest, waist, and shoulders. The 3 short parts are the neck, ankles, and genitals. The three broad parts are the waist, chest, forehead, and the three deep parts are the voice, navel, and intelligence.
This is in Nectar of Devotion, you might remember.
I was just thinking.
Yeah,
And
Nectar of Devotion, it describes that, describing the qualities of Krishna. Yes. It's also, I think, Prabhupada mentions in the purports to the second canto beginning of the appearance of Sukadeva Goswami. He had, I don't know if he had all of these symptoms, or all of these, but he was definitely, he had arms down to his knees, his eyes were like lotuses, his skin was very fine, and all the sages recognized him to be a great Mahapurusha. They all stood up, you know. What's the name of it? There's a certain name for, by being able to tell if one is a great transcendental personality. I forget the name of it now. All right. Any questions or comments as we go, please feel free to ask. So, yeah, so they're meeting Govinda. What's the name given? Gopaladeva. They're meeting Gopaladeva. So let's going to see what happens. I think, is this the part where he faints away? Have we read that part already? I guess we'll find out. Okay.
24. On his broad chest, home to the Shivasamak and Lakshmi, hung a long garland of gunja berries. His waist was like a kingly lion's, his prowess like that of hundreds of lions, and the essence of all good fortune worshipped his lotus feet. Commentary. Krishna is lion-like, not only in external appearance, but also in his strength and courage, which cannot be equaled by hundreds of lions together. Text 25. And enhancing his dress were many garlands of kadamba flowers, gunja berries, tulsi leaves, and sprouts of sikanda. Variously colored flowers adorned his waist, and his belt hung in a way that beautified his hips.
Okay, just as a note here, this is a wonderful description, and the description itself, we are hearing about it, so we might not fully appreciate it, obviously, in the same way that Brahmana, and yeah, that is being by Gopakumar. But point I wanted to make is that we're trying to make is that everything about Krishna, everything that is being described here, that is the origin of everything in all the material universes, all qualities that have an attractive feature are coming from and manifest from the beautiful form of Krishna. So whether it's a forest view, a lake, birds flying in the sky, a blue sky, anything of any quality that attracts us, that is attractive, is only attractive because it's borrowing and manifesting ultimately from Krishna. Yeah, it's all sourced in Krishna. So, so when a devotee is seeing Krishna, in one sense, it's just being written here and we're hearing it, but they're seeing the essence of the whole of creation, the whole of the beauty and the attraction of anything is personified in Krishna, because it's all coming from Krishna. Yeah. So that's why you see sometimes when devotees describe the form of Krishna, For instance, they will describe the pearls on his neck like great swans flying in the sky, like that. And they describe in many different poetic ways, because actually the appreciation of like swans or flying against the setting of a blue sky, originally it's in the beauty of Krishna and Radha, of course, you know. So that's what's being described here. So that's why devotees get so overwhelmed with this darshan of Krishna. I mean, in one sense, we can just read it. You know, he's got Gunja berries, okay. Then we imagine Gunja berries, okay. Now we imagine his waist, okay. It's like kingly lions and, you know, whatever. There's Kanamba flowers there, there's tulsi leaves, but is am I making sense here? What they're really seeing is the ultimate thing to be seen in the whole of all the millions of universes. Anything that exists in any of the millions of universes which has any attractive feature is coming from Krishna, how he's dressed, how he looks, etc. And that's what's being described here. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like reading, like, you know, when it comes to arms and body and things like that.
Yeah.
Then kind of imagine like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you know?
Yeah, another, yeah. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had those symptoms as well, yeah.
Yeah, all those, you
Very
know,
good, yeah.
arms and, you know, bodily features. And
Yeah.
then you can to like see Krishna with all these extra like flower garlands.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen Giriraj with that. So, you know, like that.
Yeah, that's it. Lord Chaitanya was a sannyasi, you know.
Yeah.
But well, his eternal form is as, you know, he's not a sannyasi, but say he's a sannyasi and he's dancing at Rath Yatra. And yeah, it's described he was so, even as a sannyasi with no hair, and he seemed, there's wonderful poetic descriptions of what he looks like. But you're right, Mother Chandravali, yeah, also his hands down to his his arms down to his knees, like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. You can like see the features
Yeah.
of that, and just to imagine from this reading, just to imagine him,
Yeah.
you know.
Trying. Yeah. All right. Anybody else would like to read? What's the time? I think 27. Perhaps I could jump in.
Yes, please.
Try and jump in. Reading here. Enhancing his dress were many garlands of kadamba flowers, gunja berries, tulsi leaves. See this is how we might dress Krishna. Keep this in mind. Festival day. Were many garlands of kadamba flowers. Okay. Sometimes we complain dressing Radha Krishna that there's too many garlands.
Yeah, but the way this body is like tall, you know.
Yeah, so he's got many
And
garlands of kadamba flowers.
you know, tiny chest.
Yeah, gunja berries, tulsi leaves, and sprouts of shikanda. Variously colored flowers adorned his waist. Okay, flowers around his waist, and his belt hung in a way that beautified his hips. Good for pujaris here, how to dress Krishna. His arms, round, broad, and stout, pleasing to the eyes, shone with splendid golden armlets and bracelets. The fingers of his lotus hands happily played on his charming flute. Yes, so what to speak of when all the essence of beauty, when the essence of beauty takes on the form of the flute sound? It grabs, you can imagine how it is, grabs the attention of all the devotees, you know, especially as we describe the gopis. So that's now going to be described. So he's playing on his charming flute as he held it in his bimba red lips. The unprecedented embellishments of his flute song, anticipated by him alone, just anticipated, bewildered all the universe like an intoxicating nectar. and a restless play of his glances, sidelong and slight, gently decorated his lotus eyes. So you can try and imagine that. That's all we can do. The embellishment of Krishna's flute playing. Hopefully one day we shall hear his flute playing. The splendid dance of his eyebrows, a pair of archer's bows, so that's what his eyebrows look like, nourished his servants' loving feelings, and his beautiful, ever-smiling lotus face attracted the hearts of the best of sages. Okay. Krishna is the transcendental Cupid, as Cupid carries a bow from which he shoots flower arrows of desire into the hearts of conditioned souls, so Krishna arches his eyebrows into a shape like Cupid's bow. And when he equips this weapon with his invincible smile, the gravity of self-satisfied mystics is soundly defeated. Right? For those of you who have the Diksha Gayatri mantras, this is the meditation that's been described here, Ananga, of the Kamadev Gayatri. You know, you have the Gopal Gayatri mantra, then you have the Kamadev Gayatri. This is Kamadev. Is the Kamadev, he who attracts or overwhelms devotees with his beautiful form. Yeah. That's described here. These like the arrows. Krishna completely enchants his devotees with the scent of his body, with his eyes, with, completely bewilders. All right, so this is meditation on Karma Gayatri. On the tip of his nose, a nose exquisite like a sesame flower, shone a single pearl. Okay, so on his nose there's a pearl born from the forehead of a lordly elephant. So, yeah, sometimes Shivaram Swami Maharaj, when he's quoting acharyas and describing the form of Radharani or Krishna, it goes so much detail. Like even there's one time where actually my Guru Maharaj mentioned it. He was writing about Radharani's bindi. It's like one whole chapter. It's just dedicated to the beauty of Radharani's bindi. It's just inconceivable. And even he said, I'm just on a chapter just describing Radharani's bindi. Again, everything comes from Radha Krishna. Anything of any attractive principle is coming from Radha and Krishna. All right, let's continue. Now and then his hand would gracefully brush aside the beads of his locks of hair, which were adorned with dust raised by the cow. So that's attractive in of itself. Commentary: the dust on his hair draws the devotee's attraction as well. The Agama scripture confirms that on the tip of his nose, Lord Gopal wears a rare pearl taken from an elephant's brow. Nashagre Gaja Muktikam. Yeah, unless I'm mistaken, there's a certain constellation of planets. Then when it rains, it's different places where pearls are formed. One of them is on the elephant's forehead. When there's a certain constellation of rain falls. Whether that happens today, I don't know. You can check. Next time we go on safari and it rains, you can check if there's any pearls. But Nasagre Gaja Muktitam. Yeah. Anyone know where else pearls manifest from in that regard? That's one. There's other places as well. Pearls might manifest, not in the ocean, but elsewhere when a certain alignment of planets and it rains, pearls formed in different places. There is others as well. I can't recall now. Yeah. His broad forehead shaped like a half moon. Yeah, that's a meditation as well. He's of the Karma Gayatri. His broad forehead, shaped like a half moon, glowed with the splendor of his straight-up tilak, formed with clay from the Yamuna. Okay. His lips were painted with designs made with various mountain minerals. Interesting. His lips were painted. It means different colors or designs.
Only Prabhu limbs.
Oh, limbs. Excuse me. All right, that that makes more sense.
Yeah.
And his lips. Okay. His limbs, yeah, were painted with designs made from various mountain minerals. Sometimes they do that. You see in some deities, then they paint lots of designs on the form of the Lord. He was an ocean full of huge waves of sportive pastimes. So he was an ocean full of huge waves of sporting pastimes. So that's the darshan of Krishna. What's that? Nana Maharanga Taranga Sindhum. Waves, Taranga. Yeah. Of pleasure. Ranga, Taranga. Yeah. Shri Yamuna took birth as the daughter of Vivishvan, the sun god, and assumed the form of the most sacred of rivers, flowing through the land of Krishna's favorite pastimes. To further expand her glories, Krishna wears clay from her banks on his auspicious tilak. He also paints designs on his body with local minerals like red garika and yellow haritala. Okay. Yeah, we don't paint Londonishwar like that. You see, I know Shama Sundara in Hungary, they paint with very lots. Because Londonishwar has the pastime of being in white marble. So it can stain very easily. So that's why you see we don't paint flowers around Radharani's eyes and things like that. Because marble is porous and you've got to have to be very careful. So often devotees have asked me in the past, why don't you paint? I mean, I did it once. Once time I painted some flowers on Radhastami around Radharani's eyes, but I wasn't very good and it didn't look very good, you know. So anyway, so that's why you might see it. Normally it's when deities are black sham, you know, then devotees will paint.
But that's also marble, right?
Yeah. It's marble. It's black
But
marble.
you can paint on those black deities
Yeah.
because it won't stain.
Yeah.
Okay.
So standing in his charming threefold bending form, all right? So now it's Shama Sundara Tribangam. See here the verse? Tribangam Lalitam. Charming. Lalita means charming. So Tribangi. Yeah. Threefold bending posture. Sometimes he played various entertaining melodies on his flute, making his dear friends laugh. His feet decorated the earth in all directions. All right, so this is just a description of Krishna standing by the bank of the Yamuna. Right, there's so much that a devotee is seeing and appreciating. Surrounding him on all sides were dear friends whose appearance resembled his, and he stood with his elder brother Rama, whose complexion was white, who was bedecked with blue silk garments, whose body was most attractive, and whose age and dress were just like his own. The weight of the persistent heavy joy of seeing Krishna, made the two devotees fall. All right, so they faint away. Indeed, they suddenly threw themselves to the ground as if to offer prostrate obeisances, all their competence lost in the excitement of the moment. All right, so they've you could say they've lost it. Completely overwhelmed, and they've fallen down, offering prostrate obeisances. They threw themselves to the ground. Commentary. In this situation, both guru and disciple forgot themselves. In no condition to carry out their social roles, they simply threw themselves helplessly at the feet of Gopaladeva, unable even to coherently offer prayers. Yeah, that happens often. Like that happened with Dhruva. When the Lord appeared before Dhruva, he was overcome with spiritual emotions. And only when the Lord touched his head with the conch did Dhruva begin to offer wonderful prayers. Yeah. The Lord, compelled by his love for his dear devotees, so Krishna seeing this, he ran towards them. And when he reached them, he fainted and fell on top of them. So I think this is the classical picture that we hear, that we see. We have, as you come into reception, you'll see this picture. I think this is what has been described. On top of them, embracing them both with his long, mighty arms. Imagine the Supreme Master, his heart melting with compassion, bathed them with a shower of tears of love. In a moment, he stood up. Okay, he stood up, lifted the two devotees from the ground with both hands and steadied them. Wiping off the tears and dust smeared on the bodies of these devotees, the merciful Lord embraced them over and over again. And right at that spot, he sat on the ground with them and spoke nectarian words to please the Brahmana. The Supreme Lord said, "Blessed and noble mature Brahmana, Sri Jana Shama, yeah, that's the realized form, Gopal's realized form. You are the moon born from the ocean of the dynasty of Brahmanas. Are your peace and well-being resplendent in every way?" Commentary. As the moon, by its gravitational force, swells the ocean with high tides, so a Brahmana, by his noble qualities, exalts his family. From Sri Krishna's mouth, we now hear for the first time the name of the Mathura Brahmana. Okay, I thought it's been mentioned before. Jana might have been mentioned in the commentary. Jana Shama. Okay. 38. Only by your influence are my family and I well. By your mercy, my heart is attracted to you. I have always looked towards the path by which you would come. Commentary. Krishna wants very much to please Janashama with a warm welcome. He honestly feels that the Brahmana's arrival is auspicious for him. He has been awaiting Janashama's arrival for a long time. By good fortune you have remembered me, and by good fortune I have seen you again after so long. Dear Brahmana, I am totally under your control. Please feel free to enjoy here as you like. Okay. Sri Parikshit said, okay, so now we go back and be reminded that this is Maharaj Parikshit speaking to his mother Uttara. Okay. Sri Parikshit said, swept away by a great flood of loving ecstasy, Janashama, completely awed, was unable to reply to Krishna or even look at him directly. Okay, we'll just read another couple of verses. His throat choked with sobs, his eyes burning with tears. All he could do was place his head on Krishna's lotus feet and cry profusely. Lord Krishna, that crest jewel of munificent persons, was distressed because he couldn't find anything better than himself to offer as a gift. So he removed the ornaments from his own body and decorated the Brahmana with them, making him look like Sarupa. Okay, commentary. This learned Brahmana has offered me his very self, Krishna thought, but in return I must give him something more valuable than myself. Otherwise I won't be showing any more generosity than I normally do. But I can't find anything more precious than myself. What can I give him? Thinking like this made Krishna anxious. He then decided to give Janashama something he had never before given to anyone, his own ornaments. But Krishna had to consider seriously before he made that decision, because to give such a gift would verify what he considers his devotees more important than himself. Along with his ornaments, Krishna also gave Janashama a cowherd's form similar to Sarupa's. All right, so he gives him his Siddha form. Yeah. All right. Much as we would like to, let's perhaps pause there. Yeah. As I say, on a cliffhanger, and we'll continue this wonderful dialogue next week. Okay. So thank you, devotees, for patiently listening. Hope this was of Hope it's enlivening and inspiring to hear this. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so
Hare
much.
Bol. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Time
Krishna.
to
Thank you so much. Wonderful class.
Wonderful read, wonderful book. Panchakavataruvaschā kripa sindhubhyeva parinam bhavnebhyo vaishnavyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.